Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Dani Mantilla y estamos aquí en Kinótico, un espacio que es posible gracias al apoyo de ICEX España Exportación e Inversiones y que está financiado por la Unión Europea Next Generation, Plan de Recuperación, Gobierno de España. En este set estamos entrevistando a talento nacional e internacional en colaboración con Fred Film Radio, talento como el de Michael Tyburski, que es el director de Turn Me On, que es una película que se ve en nuevos directores. Michael, welcome.
Hola, gracias.
This is your second time in San Sebastian. Tell us why.
Yeah, we were just talking earlier. I was here with a short film in 2014 for the 62nd edition, exactly 1 decade ago, and I found out this morning. Not only was it 10 years ago, but it was to the day, September
Mhm.
25th, and I was playing a short documentary at the time. So
And
I'm,
what do
I'm
you
really
remember
grateful to be
from
back.
that visit?
I remember falling in love with Donostia. It's such an alluring city, but I love that it's. I was reminded as I was running this morning, as the sun was coming up, just how amazing it is to have cinemas so close to the sea. And this is, yeah, it's obviously some of the best food on the planet, but it's such a wonderful kind of intimate setting to have a film festival in a beautiful city.
Most of your work has premiered in Sundance, which is a really different
Yeah.
scenario from San Sebastian, because all you said. Uh, Again, you have written most of your work. Not this time. It's a screenplay from Angela Barossa. What did you like about it?
Well, yeah, I wanted to challenge myself to adapt someone else's work for the screen and to experiment kind of on that side of things. But Angela's script from the beginning, it's interesting. She wrote it many years ago, but I happened to. It was sent to me during the pandemic in 2020
Hmm.
is when I initially read it, and this script had things like a society where there's rules where physical touch is forbidden, and the norms of everyday life was kind of flipped upside down, and maybe because it was the pandemic, I couldn't help but kind of project
Hmm.
what was going on in the state of the world at the time onto this film. And I think coincidentally that was an interesting time to be reading it and to kind of push that idea. I think this the idea of dystopias in cinema are sometimes cautionary tales
Hmm.
about this is if we go in a certain direction, this is how it could look, in a kind of dark romantic vision of it.
Hmm.
So I think I was attracted to exploring that, inspired by the things going on around us at the time.
It's a different film, a different tone. But last year we had here in San Sebastian Fingernails by Christos Nikou. Did you watch it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
No, I've heard good
he
things.
wanted to make this film to talk about the love crisis in the world. What's the heart of this story for you? What's the big theme you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, it's. I think interestingly, the thing I was most interested in this movie was the idea of agency, and we have these protagonists at the center of the film who are living in a society where all of the choices are being made for them. What they wear, where they work, who they're romantically involved
Hmm.
with, and it's this sort of idea that. Even in the world at large that we live in, we're not aware that we're being subtly manipulated all the time. And I thought this is an interesting kind of conduit to have a character who is essentially trying to break free of that. And then once you're on the other side, what we explore in the film is the emotional weight that comes with that, and having your own agency worth it. And that was an area that I was interested to kind of to play in.
And what about the visual world? Because that's you. Maybe the word comes from Angela, but what we see on the screen. Uh, what options did you consider, and why did you decide for this visual style?
The visual style of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
film. Well, I mean, a few things. I'm always inspired by color, and we shot this film in a an area that also had a large body of water nearby that kind of looked like the sea. It was Lake Ontario, which is
Mm.
just had this alluring quality, and that became a visual motif that runs through the film. I think. Water and being here in San Sebastian is interesting. The place to be premiering it on that um, front, because it's contemplative as the water, and I wanted that to be visually represented, but also we the characters in this world are being observed, and they're living in this very kind of structured society. So we keep our camera very restrained to kind of echo that idea of being voyeuristic, if you will, or observational kind of cinema, so that we could kind of watch them as kind of pawns in this bigger game.
What books did you read, or what films did you watch while prepping this one?
Well, lots of things. I mean, I think when the script initially, had the sort of kind of classic dystopian elements of Brave New World, or even Catch 22. I think I was interested more in the fact that Angela's script had a lot of humor in it.
Yep.
And I was reading some Kurt Vonnegut science fiction short stories at the time. There was one particular one that resonated with me called Welcome to the Monkey House, which deals with some similar kind of plot lines and themes. And I like that, his work felt similar to what we were doing here, where I think good satire kind of inherently just has humor in it. And I felt like that was a good place to explore, even when dealing with, these kind of dystopian elements.
Last decade, there was a huge success with Black Mirror, but how do you avoid like people thinking that could be a episode of Black Mirror? Because I think that success was good and bad for the genre, for sci-fi drama.
Sure.
Was that something on your mind while doing this film?
I wasn't necessarily watching. I love that series. I wasn't. I don't think thinking about Black Mirror as I was making this at all. But I think that's for audiences to project on it. I was, we're trying to tell a story that's in a feature length form, and it's. I like the medium of feature films. You have a little bit longer runway to tell stories, I think, in a slower way and without necessarily always being as sensational, which I think is inherent to sometimes shorter durations and certainly television. But yeah, we were just interested in telling a good drama, and its audiences and critics and distributors, I suppose, find boxes and check into certain genres. But my job is always just to, I describe any work I make just as a drama, and then it might have comedic elements, it might have romantic elements, but it's the main thing I'm interested is just like the story itself.
And what about the casting? Because Nick Robinson and Belle Powley have different energies. I think they're different kind of actors. What do you like about them?
For sure. I love them both so much. I'm so grateful that they were available and willing to work on this film, and they were both super lovely. I think Belle, I was interested. She just has these alluring qualities, specifically in her eyes, but just also in the nuances of her performance. That I thought, with characters that they're portraying specifically that have no emotions. That's conversations I had with both of them early on, and I liked how they grasped it. We talked very much about, even though they're not physically showing emotion, there's still souls behind the eyes. So I looked to both of them to kind of see how they would interpret that, and I think they're both wonderful, and their different styles, I think, work off each other very well when they're together on screen.
There is a vibe of melancholia in the film, but I think you decide and you want to be hopeful about the future and about life. There is a quote, I'm not going to explain in the context, but there is a whole world out there. Is that something that you think?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I suppose I'm personally altruistic by nature and an optimist, and but I also, melancholy really resonates with me, and I saw there was great sadness in this world that we were depicting on screen, but at the end of the day, I'm someone who likes to watch a sunset too, and to find inspiration kind of in the idea that things can that we can move forward, and I think that became important in these characters as the story progressed.
Do you think that as a society are we close to kind of turning off our emotions while trying to survive in this chaotic world? It's like
Yeah, I mean, I think there was great. There was inherently an allegory in kind of what Angela wrote on the page of just essentially like an over-medicated society, and that's kind of what on the surface this is in the form of this vitamin that they take in the film. But yeah, I mean, I think we're again, it's like I think sometimes these sort of stories can be hopefully a cautionary tale and a mirror image, if you will, for lack of a better cliche, on what's going on in society, and that's I'm trying to tell a story that will hopefully make people at least think a little bit at the end of the day.
How do you feel about the state of the American independent cinema nowadays?
American independent cinema. Well, it's I'm grateful to be continuing to make movies and to exist in that and the landscape. But it's it's challenging. I think it's I'm excited for every film that's made. Films are so difficult to get made. We use a lot of literal military analogies. I think when people are making films, and it's because you're going to war in a way, and there's a lot of strategy involved. But when one is made, it's they're little miracles in a way. But I think it's so important for that's what's great about festivals. We're at an international festival, obviously in Europe, and when there are audiences in theaters, that's when a film has its heartbeat in my mind. And I'm encouraged. I happen to live in a place in New York City where it's independent cinema is very accessible. But I hope we're kind of entering an era where theaters will be coming back, not just in big cities, but all around the nation. Because I think there's a thirst for it in audiences, but it's just kind of pushing that forward and being progressive about it.
It's interesting because you haven't done TV so far.
I have not.
Yeah,
No.
and many indie filmmakers like get the call and maybe start doing something bigger in TV. Would you like to try that?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that call yet, but it's. I think I'm interested in telling stories in whatever form they make. I make short films. I like features, but it's I think it's interesting to kind of work in the confines of different run times, if you will, or those constraints. And if a story works at a certain in a certain medium, I'm all for it.
There's a lot of debate in Spain right now because some like famous cinema filmmakers are doing TV and they don't want to use the word TV show. They're like
Right.
doing cinema for the little screen, and it's
Sure.
like not everyone likes that. It's like doing TV is okay. Don't do TV if you don't like TV.
That's right. Yeah, it's a little incongruous, I suppose.
Did you think that finding the money, telling stories was going to be easier like 10 years ago, 15 years ago when you were starting the business?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think about this all the time. I've been fortunate to make two features at this point, but they're much different, as I understand it, to make than they were when I was, coming up, and I had, like the career paths of certain like directors that felt right and who were, in their late 20s and 30s who were getting much bigger budgets than are available today to really any filmmakers, or it's becoming more rare. But the reality is, it's like even if the budgets still aren't there, it makes it harder. But I'm glad stories are still getting through and films are still able to get made, and I hope that never goes away.
A year ago, I was here with Todd Haynes. He was presenting May December, and he was saying that it was still rough nowadays for him to get the money to do films, even if he's considered a legend in the independent circuit. And we saw it this year when he was going to start filming a film with Joaquin Phoenix, and it disappeared. It's like it's like a constant battle.
It's tragic when it happens. It's a very difficult thing to pull off getting any film made. So that's why I said it's just always a miracle when any of them are made.
What would you like to do, like for your third film, maybe?
Oh gosh. Well, I think about time travel a lot. I like the idea that cinema is the closest thing I think that we'll get to time travel in the like realistic science fiction way. So I think I'm interested. I think I'm always telling stories that maybe feel a little bit eraless in a way, or they don't necessarily they might have aesthetics of a certain period of time, but I like that they kind of exist in a gray area. But I definitely, I think I properly want to go far back and tell a story from a much different era, aesthetically, but also I'm interested in stories kind of from the past to inform our future too.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you
Enjoy
very
your
much.
stay here in San Sebastian. You're
Muchas
going to
gracias.
watch tomorrow the Almodovar film, right?
I am, yeah.
What's your favorite Almodovar film?
Oh, well, I'm actually, admittedly, we're in Spain, so it feels appropriate, but I've had a friend been introducing me to more of his work. It's been embarrassingly a real blind spot for me, I finally saw All About My Mother recently
Yes,
before
it's
coming here,
amazing.
and just, yeah, fell in love. What an incredible talent, and a
Absolutely.
real Spanish voice.
Our friends from filming would like to know who are you grateful for in your relationship with cinema? Who do you admire? A filmmaker, a producer, an actor, an actress?
Well, I think on that same note, because we're in Spain, and it is true, and I think I would also say Almodovar's work. I think because he's such a unique voice, and his work is uniquely him, whatever he does.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you very much. Seguimos aquí en Kinótico.es, la primera con K, la segunda con C, con más entrevistas. Y ya sabéis que podéis ver aquí en San Sebastián Turn Me On, y si no, se va a estrenar próximamente en España. Hasta pronto.